Hey my friends, I'm here again. I'm going to be showing you another presentation with my new technique that I invented. I first presented this technique in my last video upload, which was on March 1st, and it was the Bling It On Mardi Gras collaboration. I officially presented the technique there, but I didn't know at the time I even started editing that video that that's what I was actually going to do. I did not know I was going to actually spotlight it in that way, and as such, honestly, I had not even officially named it, and I'd already done my first cut on my video edit, and then I started making decisions about unveiling the technique and naming it, and so I was under a lot of time constraints because of the collaboration. I didn't have a lot of time to come up with a title, and I just came up with something really fast. And then in a later cut of the video, I actually modified the name, which you can actually see starting at about the 47-second mark in that video. You can actually kind of tell, especially with me telling you that that's what happened. I first thought to call it the Toss, Fling, and Splash, but then when I was later watching the footage as I was editing further, I saw the swoosh part of the technique, so I added "and swoosh" in the titling, and you can see that. But then after the video was launched and I was watching it again, I realized that the title it's a little bit long. Again, I really did not spend very much time trying to think it up. I just was trying to come up with something kind of cute that had a ring to it, and I didn't even notice at that point that the title was really kind of shining the light on, or at least it kind of comes across like it's shining the light on that I'm just tossing and flinging and throwing paint on the canvas. And that rightfully does take place, as you could see here in this footage that you were just watching me do, where I was tossing the paint on there and flinging it on there. But other people have done that. That's not unique. I did not invent that per se. And that's not really the fullness of what goes into this technique. That's only one of 3 segments of this technique. This technique has 3 segments, and there's a certain series of things, or a special thing that takes place in each of the segments. So within one of the segments, there's a blending of 3 to 4 more typical fluid art techniques, and the reason for that is because it creates subtle textures and movements and patternings within the paint that are a little bit unique, that would not exist if so many different techniques were not blended together. One of the other aspects is the throwing on of paint that adds other subtleties and designs in the paint as well. I have sometimes done those 2 sections, one first and then the other second, and then other times I've switched that around. And then later in the step 3 is the swoosh. And the swoosh is where there's a certain motion which you'll see me do later in this video. I'll mention it when I'm going in to do it, and then you'll see it. But in this case, what I've done so far, what you're looking at, is just where I have tossed and thrown the paint on there. And the reason that I fling that paint on there is because it can create different effects by the pressure and the flinging of the paint kind of bouncing against each other. That can in and of itself create certain effects that otherwise wouldn't happen if that had not been done. And the swoosh in itself creates different effects. So each step actually creates different effects, and they all 3 need to be there. There was the swoosh, okay? And did you see how fast that was? Boom. And it kind of has a fling and a vigor to it. All right, so again, I've seen people do a swoosh like that sometimes with their finger, maybe not as vigorously, but I have seen people, you know, swipe their finger through the paint. And it's just that there's something magical that I've seen come forth when I combine the series of these 3 steps. And then what I do is I just, at a certain point after I get the 3 techniques basically on the canvas, I go from there, I see what starts to unfold, and then I start just taking action within what is unfolding and what seems like it would be a good thing to do to make it look pretty from there. And from there, I just keep working the painting in ways that seem appropriate or that come to me at the time. One of the things I feel is really amazing about this is that, at least for me in my experience, the more I'm not thinking, the more I'm just kind of out of my head. Maybe it's like a Zen moment or something, almost like a practice of mindlessness where I try and just step back at times, notice the painting, what it's doing, attempt to look at it with fresh eyes, and then just go into action in what seems like it would be something that might take the painting in a direction to bring it into a more beautiful state, and then to keep working it from there until it becomes something visually pleasing and a lovely composition that I'm happy with. So there's something really unique within my experience of utilizing this technique that I don't experience typically, or even if I do experience it to a small degree sometimes in some of my other paintings, it's not as extensive or as deeply experienced as it is for me when I use this technique. So it's very interesting, and I am at this point honestly looking for an actual official name. So I believe that I remember seeing in, you know, back when Sarah Mack was first doing the ninja swipes, I believe I recall her actually bringing that technique forth and showing it and talking about it without yet having an official name. I believe, if I'm not hallucinating here, oh, there I'm tossing more paint on there again. I came to the conclusion it needed another layer within what was going on. And I believe I recall her even mentioning that she was looking for a name, and I think some of her viewers were offering up suggestions. I think I remember reading someone say the Mac attack, which I actually think would have been so cute, you know, especially since it's her invention. I don't know if it was one of her viewers that offered up the ninja swipe or if she thought of it herself. But it's really cute and it's unique, and it really fits it perfectly, right? So one of the ideas that I currently have is called the Big Bang, because this kind of reminds me of the Big Bang Theory, where supposedly all these different elements kind of collided and exploded, and then out of this seemingly chaotic, accidental series of a whole bunch of things lining up at once, beautiful creations actually came to exist, which, you know, I find a little hard to wrap my brain around. But regardless of my own personal beliefs on that or not, this painting technique kind of reminds me of that. But the thing is that that is also the name of that, and maybe people would think more of that within that scientific type of way when they hear the name of my painting technique. So in that regard, I'm not sure if I feel like it's unique enough, but I do feel like it kind of fits what's going on, because it does seem kind of chaotic and explosive and like collision, and then after all this collision, some beautiful end results come out in a lovely creation. So in that sense, I feel like it could be a fitting name. But what do you think? What's your take on it? And I am open to suggestions. I'm not promising I will take anyone's suggestions, but I'm definitely open, and I think it'd be fun and playful to hear them or read them. And, you know, if you have any that you'd like to offer up as a potential consideration for the name that I will eventually give to this technique, I offer that openness to you. And I'd love to just play with you guys in that way if you want to. And meanwhile, though, I will be bringing forth more videos I probably will be doing a fair bit of these, but I will not be doing only these because I've just got other things I need to show you. I've got other stuff coming up. I'm in other collaborations coming up. I'm in one later this month and I'm not using this technique. I'm going to be showing on video the opening of the package from Brian at Brian's Creations and showing the toys that I won in a drawing that he had at the end of January. And I just have a lot of things I'm going to be showing you, so I will be still posting videos with some of the more tried and true techniques that we've all been playing around with for a while. But yes, you can count on that I will be definitely presenting a fair number of paintings where I'm showing this technique that I've brought forth through my own creation, my own trial and error, and then taking some of the results I was seeing and starting to use them purposefully, as that is what has happened to go into the creation of this. And I am especially excited to do that because one of the things that's really fascinated me about this technique is that the end results are like night and day from each other. Whereas when you do some of the other techniques like a Dutch pour or a ring pour or a straight pour, yes, you still can get varied results, but they all kind of mostly fit within something that we're kind of mainly used to seeing. But this is not like that at all. The end results are, I swear, they're like night and day in terms of what I get, and I find that extremely fascinating, and it's very intriguing because when I start one of these paintings, I honestly have absolutely no idea what the end result is going to be. So I will continue to talk about this process and just offer some of the subtleties and nuances that I've been noticing within it so that you can understand it more deeply if this is of interest to you in those upcoming videos. And again, I have a lot of other great stuff coming up. So if you're interested in seeing that, and if you've not subscribed already to my channel, consider doing that now and clicking the bell so that you, well, hopefully get notifications. I've heard sometimes YouTube can be a little iffy on those, but go for it anyway because it probably works sometimes. And I'll look forward to seeing you back at my channel soon.